Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Friday after a sweep. Good morning, everybody. This is the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Taz here with Donald. And oh my God, what a game to end that sweep. This was something that we have been waiting for so long to just see a little bit of fight, a little bit of pride. We always say you sign out the shows where you pinch your pride and play hard, and that is exactly what our New York Yankees did this series. They balled out. Everything was clicking. So a couple of hiccups with the bullpen. It is what it is. But a sweep is a sweep. And when you sweep against that pitching staff and the tremendous outing from Brian Wu yesterday, you can't take anything away from that guy. Pure class act. This was the end to a week that kind of like the series is back. The season is back on track. Was the feeling that I got out of this. We still got one more series to go before the All-Star break, and then all the talks about the trade deadline is going to go full steam. But in this moment, I think that there is not one person that really can feel down about these Yankees. And they've made some big decisions throughout the week as well. And as much as I want to just keep talking positive about the way the series went, I think we need to, Donald, rip this Band-Aid off on DJ LeMahieu. Because, the news of him being DFA'd, I think was kind of the shock heard around the Yankee universe of contract be damned. You better step up. If you're not contributing to this team, there's not much that's going to happen for you. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, they need to move on from other players are going to come into play. We always hear the talks every year, on social media and other media outlets about Stanton. We saw yesterday, Stanton is a guy that is going to be a contributor throughout the year. But to keep it specifically to DJ, he was very upset, about the news of him being, a bench player. And then the day after he got the DFA notice and then he was outright released yesterday. Look, DJ was that Yankee that you wanted to root for. You really wanted him to do well because he was an all-around hitter. He just, Father Time is undefeated, as the saying goes. And it was just time. The Yankees knew, and I think deep down he knew, that he was missing a step. Even despite the numbers that everybody was trying to throw out over his last 10 games and this and that, batting 300, his on-base percentage, he just wasn't the same player. And they needed to make some room for some young blood. And we're seeing Peraza, he might not have the bat, but he's got the defense. And just the impact immediately. We talked about this a little bit on Wednesday. The impact immediately of Jazz being back at second base. But DJ, look, he did nothing wrong. He was a good Yankee. It's a shame that it ended the way it did, but I think that's a chapter that needed to be closed. How do you feel about it?
So I want to preface this by saying a big thank you to DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
Don't let his current decline change what a great servant he was. He was a throwback to the 90s. He was pure contact. He was no BS. He was all about playing tough, playing hard. He didn't talk. He was DJ the Machine. He didn't He wasn't arrogant. He was just all about the game, and it was welcome because he was a leader in that locker room just by being
Yeah.
an example, led by example, and in his best at his best in 2019, 2020, 2021. That 3 year, I mean, you struggle to find a better player in the game. He was fantastic during that little stretch. And dude, if I could have 9 DJ LeMahieu's during that time, I would. He's exactly the type of player that you'd win championships with because great glove, hell of a contact guy. So I just want to, because it's too easy now to look back and say, "Oh, this guy's ass. This guy's done nothing. He's done nothing in years. Or this guy's awful." Blah 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 blah. Based on money. Well, don't forget what he did, and he was a very special player, and he was an MVP caliber player for about 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and he's one of the few to have won a batting title in 2 different leagues, which is not easy to do in the National League and the American League. That is not easy to do. So I tip my cap to DJ LeMahieu. I have his jersey, and it's a shame what happened to him because he was my favorite player for a while. So I do want to say a big thank you to DJ LeMahieu. But that being said, this was the first move that the Yankees have made in a long time, which speaks to accountability. And this is something that I've been screaming about. I've been yelling about. I've been banging my fist on the table about. I've been praying for some accountability in this organization. And finally we got it. I don't know what happened. Did a light bulb go off? But something happened where they were like, oh, okay, this isn't working. And thank God, because look at the difference. And you see what they're doing now, right? By just simply moving Jazz back to second, putting athletic players in the diamond. Now you got really good defense at third. You got really good defense at second. What a difference! Oh, and a stable lineup with Jason Dominguez leading off. What a difference! Guess what? They won every game. So anyone who tells me that Aaron Boone wasn't a big reason why the Yankees were losing for the last 6 weeks are out of their minds, because now you can see what happens when they just settle things down a little bit, put guys in the right positions, put guys where they're supposed to be, keep guys in a consistent lineup, and look what happens. We start winning games. Jeez, Lou, right? So
it's amazing what stability could do.
Exactly, a little bit of stability. So all those, the nerds that sit there in their ivory tower and Mike Fishman, the complete moron. I mean, he doesn't know anything about baseball because all those stupid moves weren't helping us. But now that we went back to normal baseball moves, put a second baseman at second, and a third baseman at third, and guess what happens? We start winning games. Holy crap. So the Yankees made the right move. It had to be done. First of all, it never made any sense to cater to a 36-year-old. It never made any sense whatsoever, especially one who they were considering to DFA last year until Aaron Judge intervened. So if Aaron Judge didn't intervene for his Fred last year, then DJ would have been DFA'd last year. So to cater to him, just because he said he was more comfortable playing at second, just didn't make a whole heap of sense, considering they gave up Ramirez, who's a fantastic prospect, who's now murdering the ball in Miami. You gave him up to get Jazz Chisholm in here, and you with the intent and purpose to have him play second base, and then you move him. It never made sense. It just didn't make sense. So I'm finally glad that they realized that they have a really good player here in Jazz Chisholm that I think will be better if you gave him some stability. If you gave him one position, second, he's going to rake because he's already shown that he will rake if he's in a comfortable position. So look at the difference. Since he's been moved to second base, he's starting to hit home runs left, right, and center. and he's playing good defense again as opposed to third where he was a bit of a butcher. So I'm finally glad they made the common sense decision. It's taken a long time. It's taken too long. They wasted a month. Really stupid. But I'm finally glad that they made the right call because look at the difference. They actually played decent baseball again, looking good again, won a bunch of games just by simply making a simple switch. A simple switch that they never needed to mess with a month ago, right? So, and as Acevedo says, I won't give them credit for something that they should never have done in the first place. That was exactly my point.
Yeah.
In the last episode, I was like, I'm not going to give Aaron Boone credit for something that he never needed to mess with in the first place. If DJ said I'm more comfortable playing second, I'd be like, dude, you're 36 years old. There's not exactly a whole heap of people knocking on our door for you. So if I'm asking you to play third base, you're going to have to play third base because we're better up the middle with Jazz Chisholm. That's what needed to happen. But they didn't do it. They catered to him, and it all fell apart. And honestly, DJ played pretty well considering how cooked he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a couple of games where he got like 4 hits, and it was like the old DJ, but he wasn't giving you any range up the middle, and he wasn't giving you any pop. It was time. But as I say at the start of the conversation, I do want to make it clear that I have no ill will towards DJ. He's one of my favorite players, and over the last, since 2019, he's been one of my favorite players because he's a throwback. I like throwback players. I like players that are just pure contact, no BS, no nonsense. We get too much nonsense nowadays. I like the fact that he was a no-nonsense player. It's just a shame that, as you say, Father Time is undefeated. Father Time robbed him of his abilities, and it sucks. But I tip my cap to him, and we move, and we're moving better now.
The thing is, he even said, to the organization, I'll play third. He was willing to be a bench player, and the organization's going, we don't want to clog the roster spot. And Boone was very, forthcoming when he was saying, look, you don't have the range for third. I don't think you have the physical attributes to handle third base on a daily basis. So this is the decision we're making. And, it's about, at least they recognize it now. And because we referenced the issue with Torres a couple years ago when they tried him at shortstop, and it took them forever and 2 days to correct their mistake.
Mm-hmm.
At least with this, Donald, does it give you the impression, because this is the way I read the whole situation, they have an idea that they're on the phone with somebody to make a move for third base. Rather than wait, let's just put Peraza there. Let's cut DJ. Let him get his, let Peraza get some reps in. And I think Peraza is going to end up being the bench player.
I think so
because
too.
He is versatile in the infield. I think they're grooming him to be a utility player. And defensively, I think that could be an upgrade. It's definitely an upgrade over DJ. So I think, if I'm trying to look 2 steps ahead on the chessboard like Cashman usually does, I think this is the end game, is to make a trade for a third baseman. And, Cashman spoke about it. We can get into that in a couple minutes with Cashman's statements.
It's clear.
I think it was clear that they're going, look, we got to start winning. We got to see what this season is going to turn out to be. We can't wait until the day before the deadline to be like, all right, what do we want to be? Because they need time to make some phone calls.
Oh, trust me, they're already making phone calls, man.
Oh yeah. They wouldn't make this move if they weren't.
Exactly. I think third base might be closer than you think. I think that they're at least in advanced negotiations for a third baseman. My belief is it's going to be Eugenio Suarez. It's just dependent on which top prospect, they want to give up in a deal. I've read that Arizona will be looking for a package of either Spencer Jones or Cam Schlittler if you wanted to get a Eugenio Suarez. So everyone in the chat, who would you be more willing to give up? A Cam Schlittler or Eugenio Suarez, or for Eugenio Suarez, or Spencer Jones for Eugenio Suarez? Which one would you be willing to give up? I'm not willing to give up Spencer Jones, so it would be Cam Schlittler for me.
I'm taking both of them off the table if it was me.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to get him. He's an all-star. He's got a hell of a bat. He's already got like 20 odd home runs. His OPS is like 900 at this point, so he is crushing it right now. So he's going to command a big return because there's going to be other teams that are going to want him too. So So I've got the update here. One person with knowledge of the Diamondbacks' deadline strategy told NJ Advanced Media that Arizona would covet top-ranked prospect Cam Schlittler or outfielder Spencer Jones in a potential Suarez swap. Well, I want Suarez, but I'm not willing to give up Spencer Jones because I think Spencer Jones is special. No way am I giving him up. So, sorry, Schlitt. I like Schlitt, but sorry, Schlitt, you're off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Schlittler could turn into like that Cody Poteet type of move where, you hate to see him go, but the ends sometimes the ends justify the means. I would try not to move any of those guys because with the injuries that we have on our pitching, we don't know what Heal's going to be back when what his stuff is going to be like. I still think there's still too many question marks with the pitching to just throw a guy like Cam Schlittler to the wind. If it's for the right move, I've said it a lot. Some of the necessary trades, they are going to hurt. They're going to upset some people, but that's just the business of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't just be a fanboy about everything. As much as we were cheering, look, to bring it back to DJ real quick, when we were at the game when he hit that home run last year, we were cheering, like we just saw our childhood hero do it. We want to rally around these guys, but when it's their time, comes where it's time to move on, if it's the right move, you got to deal with it. You just got to suck it up and be an adult about it.
Let's look at the chat here. FJ is unsure about giving up Schlittler for a rental. Lucas says he'd actually trade Spencer Jones. Mr. Barros says, I wouldn't let Schlittler go. He seems to be a decent pitcher and we need pitching. Dev does not want to trade Spencer Jones. And then we've got FJ saying, I believe 3-team trade is in the works. John the Beagle Dad says, I'm not trading Lombard, Jones, or Schlittler. Well, Mr. Barros is right about the pitching aspect here. We need pitching, and he's right about that.
That's my angle as well.
That is spot on. We do need pitching. I think Spencer Jones is a higher prospect in my opinion. I think he's a higher rated prospect, but Schlittler is a legit prospect. He's in our top 10 top prospects, and he throws fire, and he looked good in his rookie start and in his maiden voyage for the Yankees. He looked pretty good. I think there's a lot to grow there. I think he has bigger upside than Will Warren, for instance, a much bigger upside. So it's not the case that I don't like him. I actually like him a lot. I'm just thinking, you have to give to get, and Eugenio Suarez obviously answers like a lot. But He's 33 years old. That's the thing. He is 33. So at best, he's got what? 2 years left? Prime? 2 prime years left, maybe?
Yep.
Do you really
Maybe,
want to
maybe,
do you really
keeps good. He takes care of himself. I think we can go. 3.5 years that he
you
could be
think so?
productive.
I don't know, man, because DJ LeMahieu, we were like, oh, he's taking care of himself. And then once he turned like 35, it just fell apart on him. So
Well, I
Eugenio
think the
Suarez
injuries too is.
33
I always said the injuries sped up his decline. By 2 years.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
It's just age is undefeated, bro. So, like,
No, I'm not
30
arguing that.
35, 36 is kind of that would be a little bit worrisome. He's already 33. So what I'm saying is, do you really want to give up a top prospect for someone who's maybe got 2 prime years left in him?
Well, that's the hesitation from myself and some other fans of not wanting to give up these top guys for rental guys. Because both of I know Suarez is a free. Don't forget he'll only be here this year because he's a free agent at the end of the year.
Exactly.
Another pitcher from Arizona that's been talked about was Zach Gallen. He's going to be a free agent. So I think that unless Arizona is willing to compromise on the level of prospect, I think the door's going to be closed on a trade with Arizona. They're not going to give up their top guys for a rental again. This is not the level of Soto.
Right, but he the thing is, he's the best third baseman available.
No, and I understand that. That's why I keep circling back to his name.
I mean, if they could come up with a prospect circle like Rafael Flores, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, anything else that could avoid us giving up Spencer Jones would be ideal. I don't really want to give up Spencer Jones. I think he's starting to rake, and I think he's very close to being major league ready. So I'm not willing to give up Spencer Jones because he's crushing it right now, in my opinion.
If Arizona is willing to, on top of Suarez, and I really want to take a deeper dive when it's the three of us next week.
Right.
But it's in the conversation, and it's no longer not worth putting it off any longer. If they're willing to also, on top of Suarez, give up like Zach Gallen, right?
Right.
Would you throw Warren in there instead of
Sure.
Schlittner?
I'm not that high on Will Warren.
No, but the league is. The league sees a lot of potential in him.
Great.
And I think he can be.
I'd much prefer that. I just don't want to give up Spencer Jones. Look at the year that Spencer Jones is having. He's got an OPS of 1,040. His on-base percentage is 400. He's got a batting average of just under 300. He's got 21 homers, 43 RBIs in the minors this year, including AA and AAA. The dude is mashing. He's legit mashing. So I think he's very close to being major league ready. Since he's been called up to AAA in just 11 games, he has 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. He's got a 386 batting average, an 800 slug, and a 1,200 OPS since being called up to AAA. Spencer Jones is mashing, and he's only 24. I don't want to give up a 24-year-old with an OPS of like freaking 1,000 in the minors for someone who's 33, and you're not guaranteed to have him beyond this year. So I would look to try and get a deal done that would not involve Spencer Jones, in my opinion. But they do need pitching. They need several bullpen pieces. Beater looks dreadful. Brubaker looks dreadful. There's a lot of this bullpen looks pretty dreadful.
Yeah, I think you could see guys like Brubaker and Beater, being moved on from and replaced with some bullpen moves. Um, just for argument's sake, Donald, and I'm not a favor of this question because I think it's kind of like a trick question and kind of a cop out type of situation. But for the hell of it, if they said, "Look, we're willing to work with someone from some more low level guys if you throw in one or the other," and this would be for Suarez and Gallen.
Okay.
Right? Play a little game. And they say, "Look, we'll trade you both of them. We understand their rentals, but you got to give us either Jones or Lombard. You have to give us one of them. You're the GM of the Yankees. You need this move. We need a third baseman. We need legitimate pitching depth. And Gallen's pitching the World Series. Which guy would you be willing to move on from to make sure that you get that trade done?"
Neither. Lombard.
You say no altogether.
No altogether because Lombard's our shortstop.
Okay.
He's a better shortstop than Volpe. Lombard should be our future at short. I ain't giving him up. And Spencer Jones, I mean, as I say, you don't give up someone that has that kind of power for a rental. I don't think that's wise. He's got a 1,200 OPS in AAA. It would need to be for instance, Ramirez of Cleveland for me to even consider giving up Spencer Jones, in my opinion. I always like Spencer Jones. He's like, it's him and Dominguez are my favorites in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, I would do everything I can to keep them. So I would try and you know me, man. I'd trade Anthony Volpe for a packet.
That was going to be my next. Yeah.
So I would trade Volpe for a packet of Skittles, but I don't think anybody else in the league likes him. I think only the Yankees like him. So
yeah,
I don't think there's any value there.
I think Anthony Volpe's lack of progression. He's had moments where he's been productive, but let's just use the word production, progression, and right. I think that is what's keeping Lombard as a quote unquote untouchable. I think that's a fair statement to make. If Volpe was killing it, and the guy that we were expecting to see, well, the organization gaslighted us to believe, I think we'd be a lot more easier to deal with something moving on from Lombard. Now, the argument to keep Jones. Next year, what are you gonna do with first base? You can move. It's very easy.
Exactly.
You take up Bellinger's option. You put him at first base. Continue to platoon with Rice.
Yep.
And then you have your outfield of Dominguez, Jones, and Judge.
Boom, boom, and boom. That's nice. That's nice. Of course, there's an opportunity.
And that's obviously a utopia situation at this point.
Yeah. Also, there's Tucker available free agency, so you could have like a Tucker Dominguez Jones, Tucker Dominguez Judge, and Jones at first. You don't necessarily need to have Bellinger back. Just putting that out there as well, if they can get Tucker. But we're thinking way ahead.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
one of it.
we're talking Eugenio Suarez. He's 33. He's got 2-3 years in him. I just don't think it would be wise to give him up for a rental. There's no guarantee you're going to bring him back. So
the rental aspect is what's throwing everything off kilt.
Donnie Jones is too good at center field to be put at first base. That's a good point. I just, whichever position you want to put him in, I don't want to trade him. It's as simple as that. I just don't want to trade him. I like him. I think he's one of our better prospects. So I don't want to give him up just yet. But it's also partly, right, and I don't want to be too negative, but I'm just putting this out there. I don't want to start getting rid of our great prospects when we're kind of far away from being a World Series team. And I know people are going to be like, what do you mean they're just 1-4-3 speed? But the thing is, we need multiple starters, multiple relievers, and a third baseman. And not
There's
just
a lot
any
of work to be done.
It needs to be as close to a star third baseman as you can get, right? It can't be just any old third baseman. It needs to be like a legit third baseman.
Now, do you prioritize third base or bullpen?
Oh, God, that's a good one.
Let's just keep rolling this snowball down the hill until it gets too big.
Third base. But we need a ton of bullpen arms.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that it's almost too much. There's almost too much work to be done. With a limited farm, I'm kind of a looker here. Kind of want to sell. And if you listen to Brandon Tierney's show, he says the same thing. I'd sell. But there's a difference between like a fire sale and making strategic moves in order to get rid of the cluster in the organization so that you're guaranteed Dominguez to play every single day. But that's. I know the Yankees won't do it, but I'm actually on that. I'm on that train as well.
See, I think they could do both and still make a strong postseason run.
Yeah, they'll make the postseason.
Yeah.
They'll make the postseason.
I'm not saying just make the post. I think they can really.
I'm not saying fire sale, like get rid of everybody.
No, I heard a lot of talk about trading Goldschmidt.
I don't want to be getting rid of like Lombard and Spencer Jones and even Schlittler and all this stuff for rentals in order to kind of keep you competitive when we're kind of far away. We're like you're not going to get a number 3 starter, which you probably need, right? Without giving up a top prospect. Right? How many top prospects are we going to be willing to give up? So that's going to be.
There are a lot of fans that want to give up everybody because they're just prospects. They're not proven.
That's true.
Like we were told about the original baby bombers. I don't want to keep interrupting. I hate doing it. But like Greg Bird, we were told he's going to be the next, Mattingly. We know that didn't happen. We were told that we have to wait on we can't get rid of Sanchez. He's a catcher with that arm and that bat. You can't get rid of him. He's going to be a future Hall of Fame. They're only prospects. You don't know what's going to happen in the major league level. Mm-hmm. So for guys that want to move on from guys like Lombard and Spencer and some of these other top guys, I can't hate on them for that mindset because the Yankees have burned us with these, with this for so long. And I think Volpe kind of keeps reminding everybody, don't buy into the organization's hype on these guys. They haven't, until they're in the major leagues, they haven't given you anything.
Well, they rushed Volpe, and
I think
they gaslit us regarding him.
Volpe gaslit us with that spring training he put up.
Well, I mean, it's just, you listen to how defensive the Yankees are.
Mm-hmm.
Volpe is statistically, I believe, rated 24th out of 30 shortstops. He's offensively, he's right there among the worst players in the league. He's closer to the worst player in the league than he is the best, much closer. So that's why I don't want to give up Lombard because he's our best chance of getting Volpe out of shortstop, which he needs to be. He's got Volpe's got an arm of a 7-year-old. Let's be honest. He's got a dreadful arm at shortstop, no matter what Aaron Boone says. So Lombard's got a great arm. He's our future, I think, if the Yankees are honest with themselves. I don't want to give him up just to try and save this season. So the injuries are starting to rack up. if you look at this rotation, Stroman, I mean, he's actually surprised us since coming back. He's not been as awful as I'd expect, but he's not good at this stage. He's on our rotation. Will Warren, he's inconsistent. He has one great start, one dreadful start where he gets lit up like a Christmas tree. He's a little inconsistent there.
Yeah.
Rodon is definitely our number 2. He's kind of come down to earth a little bit lately. Not great in a big game. And you've got one ace in Fried. After that, you're looking at Schlittler, who's a rookie. So, like, we need. I mean, I'm saying you might need 2 starters, right? Especially with the Tommy John surgery that Schmidt has. That's a lot. But we can get Heel back.
Going down really threw a big wrench into the deadline.
If you get Heel back, then you just need one good starter. But
depending on which Heel you get back,
Heel's going to be like. I might be asking a lot for Luis Heel.
Yep.
Might be rushing him back. You look at our bullpen. Beater is getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Brubaker, he's nothing special.
Yeah, very disappointed in him.
He's not anything special either.
Loizaga has been never got back to his old form.
Loizaga's all over the place. Hamilton's dreadful now.
Although his slider was working the way it's supposed to yesterday, but that's just one game. Let's see what happens.
I mean, I've just mentioned 4 relievers right now, and none of them are good, and they're all going to get consistent playing time right now. I mean, you need to rebuild this bullpen. You can't do that with this farm system. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a limitless supply of, like, prospects sitting that you can just pick up off a tree like an apple tree to make this team better. You know, it's not a computer game. We have to think about this, and I'm just not sure. I think the Yankees are almost too far away from being a World Series team to make all these big moves. So what I would do is I would prioritize getting a starter and a third baseman. I would try and get a deal done for Eugenio Suarez without giving up Schlittler and Spencer Jones and Lombard. If I can do that, then great. If
I would say don't
package a bunch of Bs, like 4 or 5 Bs in order to get like Eugenio, then I would do. I'd be hesitant to give up any A's. Then especially the names that I mentioned. Obviously, we know the Yankees, so like guys that they should make available, like Anthony Volpe, won't be, so we know them. The bullpen is a disaster, TC. It absolutely is a disaster. So, like, I think, like, the Yankees have pulled us back in. The Yankees are competitive again. They look good, look better. There's a team here that you can work with. I'm just thinking that with all these injuries, and TC, I agree with you completely. I'd trade Volpe tomorrow, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just thinking with all these injuries, with the lack of top-end, like, minor league depth, I just don't want to give it all up at this deadline. I'd be smart and prioritize, like, 2 things. Probably prioritize third base and maybe a starter. But I think this bullpen is almost too much to like. If we could get one bullpen arm, great, and just hope for the best. I think it needs completely rebuilt, and I don't think we could do that.
Yeah, I want to bring this comment back up. Big salute to Old Sarge. Best pitching move. I'd call Texas and tell them you'll take on all the money for DeGrom.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
what that would allow the Yankees to do, look, we'll take the whole contract, but you got to take some B-level players like you talked about. And we save some of the high-leverage guys that might be able to be moved for controllable bullpen arms. You know, you can, you know, I think Cashman's he has the ability to be creative in that way. You know, it all depends on his execution. Cashman always has a way of figuring it out for the trade deadline. But you also let's not make him out to be a trade deadline genius. He's had some misses as well. So we could talk about all the trades we made with the Athletics. That's why I would never trade with the Athletics ever again.
But he also didn't make the right trades with the Athletics. Like, you could have gotten Olsen.
They should have gotten Olsen. You're right. That was another missed opportunity for the
You
infield.
could have even gotten Matt Chapman, play third base. Like, those were the guys you could have gotten from the A's. Instead of getting their pitching, which doesn't translate to the Yankees too well. But Luke is right on here, man.
Luke is on a roll today.
It'd be kind of silly to go all in this year. I didn't want to last year, and that's a fact. I mean, listen, last year you were much closer to winning the World Series. When you have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, you have Cole. You were much closer then. You just needed to really change left field and once again third base, and this team actually probably would have won the World Series. Certainly with another manager, but if they didn't want to do it then, why do it now when they're kind of? I mean, they're not that far off. It's just you have to look at the rest of the league, and I'm just not sure whether the Yankees could beat like the Tigers right now. Like, even with Eugenio Suarez, but no pitching help, would they be able to beat the Tigers? I'm not convinced. If you look at the National League, would the Yankees beat like 5 teams in the National League? I don't think so. So that are currently in the playoff race. I just think that the Yankees need to be smart about this. That's why I was screaming that the Yankees need to get a third baseman in the winter. That was when to get a third baseman.
I think we spent a week and a half talking about just getting a third baseman.
Had they gotten a third baseman in the winter, then it wouldn't have cost what it's going to cost us to get one now.
You had Bregman in your lap, and you let him go.
It wouldn't have cost us all our top prospects to get Suarez.
But that's the problem that I'm having is I'm not giving up my top guys for a rental.
Exactly, that's my thinking too.
Maybe as much as we're as high on Suarez as we are, and I said this, I was in the same mindset with Suarez like I was last year for Paredes. Right? I was screaming I wanted him, and the Yankees just couldn't finally get the trade done. And I was pissed.
Was a great idea. Exactly. Paredes was ideal.
And now you get a chance to correct your mistake, but at what cost? I think Arizona's going because they're not out of it. That's the other problem with trading with teams from the National League. It's such a the races are still very tight. There's you only have I think I heard like 5 or 6 teams that are just done. Like they don't have the pieces to fight their way back in. Mm-hmm. And how many of those teams would actually are we really going to trade top guys to Baltimore for some of their pieces? We're not going to. We're not trading with a team like that. Anybody on the White Sox is screaming, "Yeah, I could fix your team." No.
The Rockies, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. There's a lot to consider. I want the Yankees to be smart about this.
It's Cashman's in for I think his toughest deadline in years.
Yeah. If they can get Eugenio Suarez without giving up a Spencer Jones, ideally a Cam Schlittler, then excellent. Without giving up our A pieces, but of the two, I want to keep Spencer Jones. I think I think he could be special. It's just my opinion. Obviously, I can't see the future. A lot of these guys don't work out, but you see what Dominguez is doing if you give him a run. So I'm thinking Spencer Jones might be the same if you give him a good run. So I want to keep him. But I do want Suarez. Don't get me wrong. I want him. He's like my by far number one target. He'd be amazing. It would change this lineup and it would make this Yankee team very, very exciting.
And even
World
just that
Series
one
caliber, no, but exciting nonetheless.
No, but I think they could still give you some postseason excitement. And I think a lot of us would take that right now. I think missing the playoffs altogether is something that the Yankees are just not in a position to do, especially after going to the World Series last year.
Right.
But I think Cashman's going to find himself in this predicament, and I wish Rob was here to bounce these ideas off him as well. But I mean, if Cashman's not able to make the moves to improve the team the way that that's needed, does he just pivot and be like, you know what, let's just start getting ready for next year? And does he start, breaking things down? Rather than improve the team, maybe he subtracts from it. And we do trade somebody like a Goldschmidt.
Grisham's like an ideal candidate. You're getting, probably going to get a decent return for him.
Yeah.
And it would free up Dominguez to play every day. It's worth considering. I love Grisham. Don't get me wrong. Love him.
Lucky enough, I'm by myself in the house. Nobody can hit me for this. Although Donald might when I see him. If they're adamant about getting an infielder, and they say, you know what, we want guys that are already MLB proven, and Arizona asks for Ben Rice. Do you offer Ben Rice rather than a infield like a Lombard?
Ben Rice could be your first baseman next year.
I'm saying this is.
He could be your catcher next year. I don't know. I think Ben Rice has a lot of upside.
Yeah, the damage to that is you would lose, a first base to kind of give Goldschmidt a day off. But if they move on from Goldschmidt, are you comfortable with Rice at first base every game?
So according to Ken, shout out to him, Arizona Republic announced 2 days ago that the D-backs are negotiating with Eugenio's management team for a contract. If they can't get it done, they may be open to trading him. It's pretty late, right?
I mean, talk about waiting for the 13th hour to get things done.
The deadline is deadline's in like 2 weeks, so all right. Let's see.
Yeah, I know Mr. Barrows, I know they could put Bellinger at first. That would mean you would have Grisham in center field every game. And now who's your backup outfielder? Who's your fourth outfielder now? I mean, it's workable because you could just put Bellinger in the outfield on days that you have Rice at first. I just think, and you also have you would still have the injury to Oswaldo Cabrera is really hurting right now. If we had a guy like him on the bench, we'd be in a lot better situation.
Well, I mean, we like Perez off the bench. His glove is better than Oswaldo Cabrera. I'm glad that they made the moves that we got Brian De La Cruz in the minors.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
I like the Yankees move. Let's get back to talking about the exciting stuff, and that was the big home run from G, big comeback by the Yankees. Yes. Uncle Tats, what are your thoughts? Are the Yankees back in it?
I thought we would talk about this briefly before we came on. It got to the no hitter with Brian Wu on the mound. His pitch count was in great shape. I'm like, man, I said, what a way to end a great week to just have this crap thrown at us and being no hit to avoid this, for them to prevent being swept. And I had said it and I stand by it. You just know sometimes when your baseball instincts tell you something special is about to happen. When Jazz scored to break up the shutout, that's when I was like, you know what? They can still win this. Because what about the last couple of games said that the offense was going to fall flat? You know, Seattle's pitching is no joke. They're legit. We talked about it Wednesday. This is not an easy staff to hit on. And they still put up 10 runs and 9 runs.
Yep.
So I did have confidence they were going to be able to mount a comeback and just hope it wasn't going to end like it did in Toronto, where we came all the way back just to fall short. You know, I'm like, they're not going to do that to us again. If they're going to mount the comeback, they're doing it. And they're going to win the game. Was I expecting the dramatic fashions that had happened? No. I really didn't.
How good is Jazz Chisholm being this series?
One move to the other side of the infield, and he's like a whole new freaking player.
Different player entirely.
He's he's so comfortable.
So good. And I thought that the game was turning around when Stan hit that home run. The pinch hit home run, I was like, okay, all right. This could happen here. It was only at that point when I was like, okay, all right, slowly walking back into this game here. We'll see.
Yep.
And then the ninth inning happened. Clutch at bats, great at bats, a lot of clutch at bats. Austin Wells came through. Yeah, it was. Would you say it was the win of the season?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That eclipsed every other win this year.
I agree.
Because, and my big argument to that, we've had phenomenal wins this year.
Have we?
We've had games where everything was clicking, but not like yesterday. Yesterday was different.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday that's a playoff team in a game 7 going, I'm not losing this at home. I'm not making that last out attitude. That's what I saw yesterday. Nobody wanted to make their last out until it was over. I remember a lot. I heard some chatter, and with Volpe coming up with 2 outs in the 9th after it was tied, and I'm like, it's the extra innings, here we come. Absolutely. But having him as the ghost runner, wow, did that pay dividends that we didn't see coming?
It did. To be fair to him, it was the only time that he's had good base running in this game, in this season. Like, that was the only time I've seen him run the bases like a major leaguer. That was smart. He did well to avoid the tag because the tag beat him. I thought he was out, but it was smart. He managed to avoid the tag and score. That was I'll give him props for that, even though how stupid the ghost runner rule is. Someone made an out, somehow lands on second base in the next inning, but that's Rob Manfred for you.
See, if we could put those extra inning, like we saw, because at home they're one of the best teams since the ghost run has been in effect. Mm-hmm. On the road, they're the worst. It's such a weird split. I mean, on the road they can't win an extra inning game if the opposing pitchers were blindfolded.
Yeah.
And they just seem to have that knack for doing it at home. How about the fact that this was another weird stat. That was Judge's first walk-off since July of 2022. Why does it seem like it shouldn't? It doesn't seem like it was that long.
That's not a great stat if you're Aaron Judge. You need to be better. But I'll tell you,
it was his seventh walk-off hit.
Big G is the definition of clutch. I don't know why.
I think Stanton's the story right now.
I think there's some. I don't understand why there's people out there that still criticize this guy. I mean, what more can he do? He is the definition of clutch. You want a big bopper with clutch genes? That's Big G.
Well,
he comes through, pinch hit, spot like that, home run. Kidding me? Big G lives for October. He lives for these big moments. Big G is dude. That's why I prefer him to a lot of players because he's clutch. I always go with clutch. I look for clutch. If you're clutch, I'm I'm gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
think if you can step up at the big moment, then you're on to a winner with someone, and that's Big G, bro. He always comes through, always.
I saw yesterday, and I was actually shocked on this one. And you know, Stanton right now has 432 career home runs. That was his first one as a pinch hitter.
Yeah, he's never been good in the pinch hit spot.
He's gotten big hits as a pinch hitter,
Yeah,
but never left the yard. I'm like, wow, there's a first for everything, And shout out to Emily Nyman on X that put the tweet out, about it, and the way she ended it was perfect. It was, how could you not be romantic about baseball? Because you're always seeing something you've never seen before, and that was yesterday's game, being no hit going into the eighth inning and walking it off in extras. That's not supposed to happen.
no. Do we have time to get these awards done before we end the show?
I got time.
All right. Well,
All right.
let's get into the awards. We've not done an awards in a while.
It feels like forever, right, bro?
Right, exactly. I have to.
Let's go.
Let's go, man. Where's Donald's awards? There it is. Right. Let's get back into the old awards. We've not done it in a while. So let's start with the MVP of the series. I'm going with Jazz. I don't know about you, bro. I'm going with Jazz.
I had Jazz.
Jazz all day long. What about you in the chat, guys? I mean, I would find it hard to find anyone who won't go with Jazz here. He's kind of changed things around here. Low-key MVP, Uncle T.
This is where I have Stanton. And it was because I think there's a different outlook. It could also be a clutch moment, but it was the home run yesterday that made him the low key. Because that was, as much as I said, when the one run scored, I felt like something was brewing, and Stanton's home run just kind of solidified that we were watching something that we're not going to see, for a while.
Stanton home run means nothing if it wasn't for Wells' sack fly for Jazz to score. Yeah, Wells was clutch. No doubt about it. My low key, I'm actually going to give it to Jason Dominguez. Guy's been hot. Guy's been red hot.
He's doing great in the leadoff spot.
Please keep him there. Stop messing around. Please, sixth and then seventh and then the bench and then you don't know where he's going to play. Keep him leadoff. He's red hot right now. He is exactly the Martian now. He's looking great. My low key is Dominguez. My clutch awards, it's Big G. He's the definition of clutch. Tats, who's your big G clutch award going to?
I actually have the entire team in the eighth and ninth inning.
The entire team. Okay.
We have it. That's the team having each other's back atmosphere that we've been waiting for. And we had waited so long for the Yankees to have one of those rallies that I think you can't really give it to just one guy because so many things had to go right in those two innings,
right,
between the lineup and the pitching. So I just really couldn't decide on one person.
Williams shut it down in the 10th.
Yep,
it's a good mention with Williams. Let's go with the pitching award.
Schlittler.
Oh, you're giving it to Schlitt?
Yep. That was a phenomenal debut.
Okay. I'm giving it to Devin Williams for the reasons that Sunil gave. 10th inning, Yankees have one of the worst teams in extra innings. They couldn't afford to give up a run. Devin Williams was just literally perfection in that 10th inning yesterday. So I think he gets the pitching award for me. Um, let's move on to Aaron Boone. Tats.
I gave him an 8 out of 10. And I know it was a sweep where it was a great you know, a great outing, the whole series all together. He's losing points for and I know his hands are behind his back because of some injuries, but um, we keep relying on Loizaga.
You got no choice, bro.
I know, but I just I thought and like I said, it's really it was tough for him to make the right bullpen move. But I mean, the Loizaga has just been so disappointing. But I gave him an 8.
I'm with John the Beagle Dad. I'm going with 7. Boone actually did everything right. It's just he has to earn a lot for me to even give him like high grades from now on. Like he's gonna have to have like the most outrageously good series for
Well,
me to
that was
even
the first
consider.
sweep. I didn't give him a 10.
Yeah, for me, 7 out of 10 is. I'm just gonna top off there with
No,
him.
that's fair. Yeah.
It's just through the damage that he's caused over the last month, 2 months, 8 years. I just can't give him anything higher than a 7 right now. But he did everything right. I mean, the move to DFA DJ was the right call. The move to get Peraza every day, pretty much every day reps there at third, right call. Chisholm at second, right call. And Dominguez leading off, very much the right call. So
All
it
series.
was a consistent lineup 2 days in a row. We had the same lineup, which is never seen before in the history of Aaron
We
Boone.
actually talked about that Wednesday.
And the Yankees scored 19 runs. It's not a surprise, but he doesn't believe in Hall, and he doesn't believe in consistency, and he doesn't believe in all these things that anyone with a brain and everyone who's any watched baseball for more than like 3 seconds would tell you that. So that's why I can never give him an 8 from now on. But 7 out of 10, good job, Boone. You did a good job, and you are no longer getting a 0, which you've been doing for about 6 weeks. So you're on the right path. Keep it that way. 7 out of 10. You're my boy Blue. Tats, who's your boy Blue?
Dominguez.
Agreed.
We have been, we've all been tremendous fans and supporters of Dominguez. Being put in a leadoff spot and just owning it. We've been begging for a leadoff hitter. We may be seeing the guy that we've been waiting for.
Yes, I love Dominguez.
They better keep in the leadoff spot for this Cubs series. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
I mean, we know what they're going to do. They're going to try and.
I know what they're going to do. They're going to sit him.
They'll probably try and sit him today. Dominguez, I agree. I don't think there's any question about it. He's my boy Blue. He's absolutely outrageously good. Let's go with the L. Who's getting the L on a sweep?
The fans who left early yesterday.
Ooh, I didn't even know that. Which fans left early?
There were fans that nobody. You could see in the stands as soon as the no hitter was broken up. Some people left thinking with a 5-run, down by 5 in the 8th that they still had no chance of coming back. So people were leaving. Wow. Shame on you. You have to play to the last out. So that you got to be kicking yourself if you left that game yesterday. You are, as a Yankee fan, you are kicking yourself. I hope you are.
My L, I'm giving it to Clayton Beater. I mean, is there anything more needs to be said?
Yep.
If it wasn't that incredible comeback, then he'd be getting ripped right now. he's no good. So he's my L. Aaron Hicks. Do you have an Aaron Hicks?
Aaron Hicks, I had Volpe penciled until that slide yesterday, and we got a little redemption for it. So I mentioned his name before. My Hicks Award, I'm giving it to Lewiziger. He is a guy, Donald. I've talked him up for the last 5 years. We've been doing this. That, it's just he was a guy I had so much hope for, and I know the injuries have played a big part of it. But I just wish we had more from Lewiziger. He's turning into the pitching version of Hicks.
He's breaking our hearts, Tats. I love
Yeah.
Johnny Lowe, but he's not been good. He's not been good. But I mean, has anybody in our bullpen been good of late? Right? It's hard to differentiate.
Yeah.
My Aaron Hicks. I mean, to be honest, Anthony Volpe is like my permanent Aaron Hicks. If anyone knows me, I absolutely would trade him for a box of Cheerios. I absolutely would. But on this occasion, I'm giving Aaron Hicks to the voice of the Yankees, Michael Kay. The reason is, for the reasons that we discussed in the last podcast, he called Yankee fans spoiled brats and tried to gaslight us that we weren't embarrassed in the World Series and it was all just ifs and buts and candies and nuts. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we weren't embarrassed. It was just, and then proceeded to gaslight you. And then if you do think we were embarrassed, then you're spoiled brats. If you're not happy with losing in the World Series in 5 games, then you're a spoiled brat. I hate that. I really have a massive issue with the voice of the Yankees attacking the fans. I have a massive issue with anyone ripping their viewers. It would be kind of like us just screaming at everyone in the chat going, you all suck. You're all spoiled. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
we saved that for a couple of people.
How about have some respect? How about have some respect for the people that watch you loyally? You know? How about have some respect for the paying customers that pay extraordinary amounts of money to go to Yankee Stadium? Extraordinary amounts in this current climate where everything's expensive, where like a couple of weeks of groceries you would think that you've been on holiday in the fucking Bahamas for 3 weeks with the amount of money that you've spent going to grocery shopping over a 2-week span, right? Tats, hello? Do you agree? It's crazy, the prices of how...
Oh, no, it's absolutely insane.
Living, right? And so what I'm saying is the cost of living is sky high, right? But still, these fans, devoted fans, go to games every single day, all over the country, to watch the Yankees loyally, root hard for them, and they have every right to criticize. They have every right to criticize if they aren't getting bang for their buck. And it's the same as any paying customer anywhere. If a paying customer is not happy with your product, then instead of screaming at the customer, you look at yourself and go, what can we do better? Right? And that goes for any walk of life. You know, the customer, I'm sorry, but the customer is always right.
Yep.
Because they pay your salary at the end of the day. Right? If the fans stop showing up, then there's no product to sell. Right? So I'm sorry, screaming at fans and calling them spoiled brats and mouth breathers and window lickers and all that kind of stuff that Michael Kay has called Yankee fans, I think it's disgraceful. I think he should be better. I hold him in high esteem for him as a journalist and as a announcer, but I really hate his attitude. He thinks he's better than Yankee fans, and you're not. You're just a Yankee fan just like us, and we have every right to complain. And a lot of fans are very intelligent, and deserve respect. And by the way, all the Yankee fans have been saying, for instance, Gleyber Torres isn't a shortstop. Jazz Chisholm's not a third baseman. Are all proven to be spot on. Anthony Volpe doesn't have a good arm. Spot on. I mean, all the things the Yankee fans have been complaining about have all turned out to be 100% right. And it's the organization that's trying to tell you otherwise. So I'm sorry. I really hate the voice of the Yankees abusing fans. I think he should be better. I hold Yankee fans in the highest regard. We're smart. We're devoted. We're committed. I mean, we have well over 1,000, almost like 1,500 of the most loyal supporters that watch us every single day. We're on like what? How many times a week now? Like 4 or 5 times a fucking week. And we have our guys showing up to me to watch us. You know, that's a loyal fan base, and they deserve respect. They deserve a championship product. So I'm on your side, guys. I'm not going to accept the announcer calling you guys names. I just don't like it. I think it's wrong. So he is my Aaron Hicks Award.
That's why the radio broadcast is so much better.
That's why people are watching podcasts now.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of channels that, there's a number of channels in the community that do play-by-play, and they all kill it. They're all great at it.
K-Talk fans are very disrespectful.
Yep. Facts, bro. Facts. But, yeah, I know we don't go to see K. We go to see the players. I get it. But when you're sitting at home, sometimes you just got to mute your TV, and that's not a fun way to take in baseball with no sound. Unless you're able to sync it up to the radio. Depending on how you're watching with the delays, which the delays in these games drive me absolutely nuts. So I had to turn off my MLB notifications because I was listening to it but getting the updates before I was actually able to hear it on some of the games I was following. Oh my God, you're kind of spoiling it for me. But
I don't even think Yankee fans are that spoiled. We've not won a championship.
We're not.
Years. How are we spoiled? We go to every single game loyally, even though we've not won in 25 years.
We're loyal. We're not spoiled.
Right.
And we expect the Yankees to, at the end of the year, like, look, our favorite, our captain we grew up with Derek Jeter. Right. I mean, for me, it was more Mattingly, but for more the age range of our followers, Jeter was the guy, and he always said, if you don't win the World Series, it was a failed season. It didn't matter if you went undefeated. You lost the World Series. You could win 162-0.
Right.
If you didn't win the World Series, it didn't matter.
Exactly.
Look
at that Mariners. How about when the Mariners won the most regular season games? They beat the 98 Yankees for the most regular season wins. They didn't win that championship that year. The Yankees beat them in the championship.
And that's why the Yankees are always referred to.
Exactly. No, Jonathan, I meant we've won one championship in 25 years. That's what I meant. 2001 we lost. 2000 we won. 2001 we lost. 2009 we won. Not won a world championship since then. So one championship in 25 years. Anyway, as we were going back to, that's it, man. You're spot on. No one talks about the Mariners that year.
No, they talk about how great the 98 season was for the Yankees because they closed the deal. They closed the deal.
Right. When the Golden State Warriors won the most regular season games in the NBA history, they lost that year. They lost that year in the finals to LeBron. And guess what? No one talks about that Warriors.
Or the Patriots with the perfect season.
Or the Patriots with the perfect season. Everyone talks about the Giants because the Giants beat them there. Yeah, fuck it.
Yep.
Fuck you, Boston. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like no one talks about, no matter how good a regular season you are, no one talks about it unless you have a championship at the end.
Yep.
So only the Yankees talk about themselves, even though they lose. You know what I'm saying? Look at how great we are. We lost the World Series in 5 games. We're the best. Arrogance.
Nothing to worry about here. Where everything's fine.
Exactly. Arrogance. Absolute arrogance.
But And it's going to wrap things up for us on the week. Do hope that everybody did enjoy the shows this week. We enjoyed giving them to you and spending our time with you guys. It is always much appreciated. If you want to join the chat, it's very easy. All you got to do is hit that sub button. Also, for everybody else, hit that like button. Share this out, your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. Hope the Yankees wins keep rolling along. We'll be back on Monday as we break down the final series before the All-Star break and talk about Jazz and the home run derby. We will break that all down on Monday. So just remember to tune in 10 a.m. So with that, just always remember, wear your pinstripes of pride and play hard.